Welcome back to the Expensive Coins History channel. Have you ever held a coin in your hand and wondered if it might be worth far more than its face value? Could that 20-cent piece hiding in the back of your drawer actually be a miniature treasure from Australia's past? Today, we dive into the fascinating story of one such coin, the 1967 no-mint mark Queen Elizabeth II Australia 20 cents coin. Its story is one of transition, national identity, rarity, and collector intrigue. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes this coin desirable, how to evaluate its condition, and what it could be worth today, in the year 2025. Let's explore the value, the history, the rarity, and the real worth of the 1967 Australian 20 cents coin, and why collectors all over the world are still searching for the perfect one. The journey of the Australian 20-cent coin begins in the mid-1960s, a period of transformation for the nation's currency system. On February 14, 1966, Australia officially moved from the imperial system of pounds, shillings, and pence, to the decimal system of dollars and cents. This was more than just a financial adjustment, it was a cultural milestone. The change required a complete redesign of all coins and notes, offering an opportunity to forge a new visual identity for modern Australia. The 20-cent coin, which replaced the florin, was introduced as part of this new decimal series. It featured a distinctly Australian design, the platypus. Graceful, enigmatic, and uniquely local, the platypus became the face of the reverse side of the coin, swimming among stylized ripples of water. On the obverse side, the reigning monarch of the time, Queen Elizabeth II, was depicted. The portrait chosen for the coin was the iconic second portrait of Her Majesty, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, designed by the sculptor Arnold Machin. This royal effigy would come to define Australia's coinage for decades to come. The year 1967 marked the second year of production for the 20-cent coin. While many coins around the world feature mint marks to distinguish where they were struck, the Australian 20-cent coin from 1967 carries no mint mark at all. This is not an error. Rather, it reflects the production standards of the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, which did not assign mint marks to regular circulation coins during that period. More than 83 million of these coins were produced, which might lead you to believe that they are extremely common and of little value. However, the value of a coin is determined by far more than just how many were made. What makes the 1967 20-cent coin truly interesting to collectors is not just its mintage numbers, but its surviving condition, its strike quality, and its place in the early decimal history of Australia. Before we talk about value, let's take a closer look at the coin itself. The reverse design of the coin is dominated by a striking image of the platypus. This unique monotreme, one of only a few egg-laying mammals in the world, is shown swimming through stylized water. The design is fluid, dynamic, and instantly recognizable. It is both symbolic and timeless, celebrating Australia's distinctive wildlife. The obverse side of the coin displays the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, facing to the right. The detailed tiara, soft curls, and smooth lines reflect the refined engraving work of the time. This portrait remained in use on Australian coins until the late 1980s. Physically, the coin is composed of copper-nickel, giving it a silver-like appearance. It weighs approximately 11.3 grams, has a diameter of 28.65 millimeters, and features a reeded edge, or what many would describe as a grooved or milled rim. These specifications were chosen to make the coin durable, easily distinguishable by touch, and suitable for high-volume handling in commerce. So, how rare is the 1967 20-cent coin? In circulated condition, meaning coins that were used daily for shopping, change, or vending, these coins are still relatively common. Many Australians still have one tucked away in a jar or drawer. However, what is far less common is finding this coin in uncirculated condition, with its original mint luster, sharp edges, and no signs of wear. Coins in mint state, especially those graded MS63 and above, are becoming significantly harder to locate. This is because the majority of coins from 1967 entered circulation and were exposed to decades of handling, environmental wear, and damage. Over time, the number of pristine coins shrinks, making well-preserved examples more valuable every year. Additionally, coins with flawless strike quality, strong details, and even toning or coloring are especially attractive to advanced collectors. Coins that have been professionally graded by third-party services can fetch a considerable premium, particularly those receiving high grades on the Sheldon scale. Let's talk about the question on everyone's mind: how much is a 1967 no-mint mark Queen Elizabeth 20-cent coin really worth in the year 2025? As of now, the value of these coins varies depending on several key factors. Most importantly, condition. In well-worn circulated condition, the coin typically carries a value between $1 and $3. These are coins with visible wear, dulled surfaces, and sometimes scratches or marks from decades of use. Coins in fine to very fine condition, with moderate wear but clear features, might be worth $3 to $6. In extremely fine condition, showing only light signs of handling with sharp details, the value rises to around $6 to $12. For coins in uncirculated condition, with full original luster and no visible wear, collectors are willing to pay $15 to $30. Sometimes more depending on market demand and visual appeal. Exceptionally well-preserved coins that are certified by professional grading companies and reach high mint state grades, such as MS65 or MS66, can command prices upwards of $40 to $75, or even higher at auctions. It's important to remember that pricing is always influenced by market demand, the presence of errors or die varieties, and the overall quality of the coin as seen by the buyer. If you own a 1967 20-cent coin and want to evaluate it, here are a few tips to consider. First, examine the obverse and reverse carefully. Look for wear on high points, for instance, the queen's hairline or the platypus fur and claws. These areas typically show wear first. Next, check the coin's rim and edge for nicks, dents, or flattening. A clean rim and fully reeded edge help preserve value. Then, look at the overall luster. Uncirculated coins have a distinct brilliance and shine. If the surface is dull or heavily scratched, it's likely circulated. Finally, if you believe your coin is in exceptional condition, it may be worth having it professionally graded. Graded coins typically sell for more, especially if the grade is verified and encapsulated by a trusted third-party service. For sellers, presentation is key. Good photography, clear descriptions, and honesty about condition help attract serious buyers. For buyers, do your research and compare listings to avoid overpaying for common condition coins. So, is the 1967 Australian 20-cent coin worth a lot of money? The answer is, it can be, under the right conditions. While the average circulated piece is relatively modest in value, high-grade uncirculated examples and certified coins continue to rise in demand. As collectors of Australian decimal coinage grow in number, the competition for quality examples increases. And with each passing year, the pool of untouched 1967 coins becomes smaller. This makes the 1967 no-mint mark Queen Elizabeth II 20-cent coin a fascinating case of how historical context, design, condition, and scarcity all come together to create real value, whether you're a casual coin enthusiast, a budding numismatist, or just someone curious about what's hiding in your change jar. The story of this coin is a reminder that sometimes, even the smallest objects carry the richest histories. The 2000 Australian 20 cents coin with no mint mark. How rare is it? What's its story? Could it be worth hundreds, or is it just another common coin? Let's find out. To understand the 2000 Australian 20 cent coin, we must first go back to the origins of the coin itself. Australia adopted decimal currency on the 14th of February 1966, replacing the old pound system. This shift introduced a new set of coins, the 1 cent, 2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, 20 cent, and 50 cent denominations. The 20-cent coin was introduced to replace the florin, and since then, it has become one of the mainstays of Australian coinage. The 20-cent coin standard reverse design features the iconic platypus, one of Australia's most distinctive animals. This design, created by the master designer Stuart Devlin, has remained consistent since 1966 and remains beloved for its flowing, stylized underwater depiction of the platypus in motion. On the obverse, or the front, of the coin, the image of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II is featured. In the year 2000, the effigy used was the fourth portrait of the Queen, created by Ian Rank Broadley. This particular portrait is known for its realism and maturity, marking a significant change from the younger depictions used in earlier decades. The 2020 cent coin is part of this long-standing tradition. But despite its ordinary appearance, some collectors have come to question whether there is anything extraordinary about it, particularly the version with no mint mark. The 20-cent coin minted in 2000 was produced using the same metal composition as its predecessors. It is struck from cupronickel, a durable alloy made up of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This material gives the coin its silver-like appearance and strong resistance to corrosion. Each coin weighs approximately 11.30 grams, has a diameter of 28.65 millimeters, and a thickness of around 2.50 millimeters. The edges are milled, meaning they have fine ridges that aid in identification and reduce the risk of fraud. The coin's size and weight make it relatively substantial in the hand, and its physical design has changed very little over the decades. This consistency is one reason collectors appreciate the coin. The familiarity is comforting, but small variations can also stand out. Now, let's talk about the so-called no mint mark version of this coin. Many collectors and casual enthusiasts are intrigued by coins without mint marks, often believing that a missing mark may indicate rarity. But here's the truth: most Australian circulating coins, including the 20-cent coin, do not carry a visible mint mark. The Royal Australian Mint, located in Canberra, typically does not stamp mint marks on standard circulating coins. Therefore, the absence of a mint mark on a 2020 cent coin is not unusual, it's completely standard. However, confusion arises because some coins, especially collector issues or those minted in specific locations like Perth or Melbourne in the past, do carry mint marks. So, when a person sees a coin without a mint mark, they may assume it is a special error or rare variant. In this case, though, the no mint mark is not an error, it is the norm for circulation coins of that year. So, while the term no mint mark sounds mysterious and rare, it actually just means the coin is part of the regular circulating issue from the Royal Australian Mint. The mintage number is one of the key factors in determining the rarity of a coin. In the year 2000, the Royal Australian Mint produced over 35 million 20-cent coins for circulation. That's a substantial number, indicating that this particular coin is far from rare in raw quantity. These coins were intended for everyday use. They passed through the hands of millions of Australians, were used in shops and vending machines, and stored in jars and drawers across the country. They are still frequently found in pocket change, and because of their durability, many remain in decent condition even after 2 decades of circulation. So, in terms of availability, the 2000 no-mint mark 20-cent coin is widely accessible and still very much in circulation today. However, condition, as always, plays a major role in determining its value to collectors. Let's explore how condition affects value. Coins are graded on a scale ranging from poor to mint state. The higher the grade, the more a coin is worth. A circulated 2020-cent coin that has heavy wear, nicks, scratches, or discoloration will generally only be worth its face value, 20 cents. However, if the coin is found in extremely fine condition or better, with only light signs of wear and all major details intact, it may fetch a small premium. Uncirculated examples, those that show no signs of wear and still have original mint luster, can be significantly more desirable. These are the coins that collectors seek to complete high-quality date sets. Proof versions or coins taken from mint-issued collector sets are particularly attractive to numismatists. These coins often have a mirror-like finish, sharper details, and are preserved in pristine condition. While they were not intended for circulation, some do appear in private hands and are worth considerably more than standard circulated examples. Though the standard 2000 no-mint mark coin is common, certain errors or unusual varieties from that year can carry significant value. One of the most famous Australian coin errors involves what collectors call a mule. This occurs when a coin is struck with mismatched dies, for example, a 20-cent reverse paired with a $1 obverse. Such a mule error actually occurred in 2000, and those coins are now considered extremely rare and valuable, with verified examples fetching thousands of dollars on the secondary market. Other error types include off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks. These are manufacturing defects that occurred during the minting process. While they are not specific to the 2000 issue, they can occur randomly and make a coin unique and collectible. If you suspect you have a coin with an error, it's best to have it inspected by a numismatic expert or a professional grading service. Error coins must be authenticated to be considered valuable. So, what is the 2000 Australian 20-cent coin without a mint mark actually worth in 2025? Let's break it down by condition. In heavily circulated condition, the coin is generally only worth its face value, 20 cents. In lightly circulated or extremely fine condition, it may sell for between 50 cents and $1. In uncirculated or mint condition, values typically range from $2 to $5. Depending on the coin's overall eye appeal and preservation. Proof or mint set coins can reach values of $10 or more, especially if kept in original packaging. Error coins, particularly mules or rare strike errors, can fetch hundreds to thousands of dollars, but these are the exception, not the rule. Market interest remains steady due to the coin's accessibility and nostalgic appeal, but this particular year and type do not command high premiums unless in pristine condition or exhibiting a notable error. If you find a 2020-cent coin in your change today, should you keep it or spend it? Here's the honest answer. If it's a regular circulated coin with no visible errors or unusual features, it's best viewed as a fun collectible but not a valuable investment. However, if it's in exceptional condition, or appears different from normal, such as being thicker, thinner, oddly colored, misaligned, or with doubled features, then it's worth setting aside for closer inspection. Collectors always recommend holding onto high-quality examples of coins, even common ones, because over time, demand for perfect specimens increases while their availability decreases. To wrap it up, the 2000 Australian 20-cent coin with no mint mark is a standard circulation coin produced in large quantities. It is not inherently rare or extremely valuable, but in the right condition, or with the right error, it can become a prized piece for a collector. As with all coins, the true value lies in the details. Look closely, handle with care, and never clean a coin, as doing so can destroy its collector value. Whether you're just starting out in coin collecting or have years of experience, it's always exciting to uncover the stories behind everyday objects. So next time you find a 20-cent coin in your change, give it a second look. You never know what treasures you might be holding in your hand. We unravel the story behind the 1981 Queen Elizabeth II Australian 20-cents coin, a coin with no mint mark, yet holding a fascinating place in modern numismatics. Join us as we explore its origins, dive deep into its design and production, examine its varieties and distinguishing traits, and finally, assess what it's truly worth in today's market. Welcome to the most complete exploration of the 1981 no-mint mark 20-cent coin from Australia. To understand the significance of this coin, we must first rewind to the history of Australia's decimal coinage. On February 14, 1966, Australia transitioned from the old imperial system to the decimal system. The 20-cent coin was born as a direct replacement for the florin, matching its size and metal composition, but carrying new national symbolism. The obverse of the coin featured a youthful effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Arnold Machin. It was a regal yet familiar portrait that graced Australian coinage from the mid-1960s into the 1980s. On the reverse, an iconic and proudly Australian image, the platypus, gliding through water in a dynamic, stylized form. This elegant design was created by master craftsman Stuart Devlin, who was appointed as goldsmith and jeweler to the Queen in the same decade. His work transformed everyday currency into artistic expression. Fast forward to 1981. Australia's population had grown. Economic activity had increased. And the demand for coinage had reached a point that exceeded the capacity of the Royal Australian Mint alone. That year, additional 20-cent coins were produced overseas, at both the Royal Mint in Wales and the Royal Canadian Mint. Interestingly, these coins bore no mint mark, making them virtually indistinguishable at first glance from those minted in Canberra, and that is where the mystery begins. Let's break down the physical and visual elements of the 1981 20-cent coin. The coin has a diameter of approximately 28.5 millimeters, a weight of 11.3 grams, and is composed of copper-nickel, an alloy consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The obverse side features the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Facing to the right, wearing the girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. Surrounding her image is the legend, Elizabeth II Australia 1981. On the reverse, the elegant platypus appears to twist through swirling water, the denomination, 20, floating above its streamlined form. The details of the animal's claws, fur, water, and movement are sharply engraved. When the coin is struck properly and preserved well, the edge of the coin is reeded, giving it both tactile texture and protection against wear. But here's where things become more intriguing. Despite the identical design, not all 1981 20-cent coins are the same. Unlike coins from countries like the United States where mint marks help identify the production facility, Australia typically did not place mint marks on its circulating coinage during this period. In 1981, 3 different mints produced the 20-cent coin. The Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, the Royal Mint in Wales, and the Royal Canadian Mint, all three used similar dies. All three struck coins with no mint mark. This made identifying the origin of each coin a matter of subtle detective work. Collectors later discovered that each mint left behind microscopic clues, minute differences in the strike quality, die finish, metallic tone, and most famously, the claws of the platypus. Some coins feature 4 distinct claws on the platypus's right forefoot. Others show 3 claws and a stub, the result of die variations used by the Canadian Mint. These tiny differences opened up a fascinating field for collectors. A coin that seemed common at first glance was now a treasure map of varieties. So, how many of these coins were actually minted? In total, the mintage across all 3 mints exceeded 165 million pieces. That makes the 1981 20-cent coin one of the most heavily produced in Australian coin history. At first glance, such a high mintage would suggest that the coin is not rare, and in general circulation. That is true, however, when we isolate high-grade specimens, coins that have survived more than 4 decades without wear, scratches, or environmental damage, the picture changes dramatically. Most of these coins were released into general use, where they were exchanged, spent, dropped, rubbed, and stored in drawers or jars. Only a small fraction escaped this fate, kept in mint rolls, collector sets, or accidentally misplaced before as a result. Uncirculated examples, especially those with distinct die varieties, are now sought after. And as time passes, their numbers only continue to dwindle, which brings us to the most anticipated question: how much is a 1981 no-mint mark Australian 20-cent coin worth in 2025? The answer, as with all collectibles, depends on 4 key factors. Circulated coins, with wear and minor damage, typically trade for their face value or just slightly above. These are common and not highly valued unless part of a collection. Lightly circulated or extremely fine coins can range from a few dollars to the low double digits depending on eye appeal and variety. Uncirculated coins, especially those with sharp strike, original luster, and no marks, can sell for between $15 to $50 depending on demand and the specific mint variant. Coins certified by professional grading services, especially those graded MS63 and higher, often command $60 to $100 or more, particularly if they show the rarer Canadian claw variety or other die distinctions. Finally, error coins or coins struck on the wrong planchet, off-center, or with die clashes can exceed hundreds or even thousands of dollars, though such coins are exceedingly rare for this year and denomination. As always, real-world sales may vary based on timing, availability, and buyer interest. What's key is that condition and confirmed variety matter far more than just the year or lack of mint mark. If you think you have one of these coins, or plan to search for one, here are some expert tips to keep in mind. First, examine the coin under strong light. Look closely at the claws on the platypus. Distinct claw patterns can help determine mint origin. Second, assess the coin's surfaces. Original mint luster, sharp details, and a lack of cleaning or corrosion are crucial indicators of value. Third, avoid polishing or cleaning your coin. Even gentle cleaning can reduce its value dramatically. Fourth, consider having high-grade coins graded and slabbed by a professional grading service. This adds authenticity and helps establish market trust. Fifth, track sales on reputable numismatic auction sites. Seeing what similar coins actually sell for, not just what people ask, is the best way to determine market value. The 1981 Australian 20-cent coin without a mint mark may seem like just another coin, but in truth, it carries with it a fascinating story of global minting, subtle variety, hidden rarity, and lasting value. It reminds us that treasure doesn't always sparkle, and that sometimes the most extraordinary finds are hiding in the most ordinary places, maybe even your pocket. Change, whether you're a seasoned collector, an aspiring numismatist, or simply someone who enjoys history through the lens of coinage, the 1981 no-mint mark 20-cent piece offers a little mystery, a touch of heritage, and the excitement of discovery. So, take a closer look at your collection. Who knows what history you're holding in your hand? Thank you for joining us on this in-depth journey into Australian numismatics. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our future explorations of rare and fascinating coins from around the world. Have a coin you want us to review? Share it in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and as always, keep collecting.